What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Basketball This Week, presented by District of Buckets. I'm your host, Tyler Castle. I'll be shortly joining my co-host, Carl Baltimore. And once again, we're bringing in the Lakers specialist, Justice. So we got a lot in store for you today. We're going to be covering Bam Adebayo's career-high performance. We're going to be covering Collin Sexton's back-to-back dubs against Brooklyn. And then we're going to be covering a bunch of other stuff that you're going to want to hear, including waiver wire pickups for this coming week. So let's roll the tape. Once again, welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Basketball This Week, presented by District of Buckets. Before we get into all that headline stuff, we're going to bring it back to our Lakers specialist. It's his second appearance on the show. Everybody give a warm welcome to Justice.
Yeah, you know what it is, guys. You know what it is. I'm back, and I've got more things to say, man. Let's just get it cracking from the jump then, because let's talk about trouble in paradise, man. The Brooklyn Nets. A lot of people seeing them as the dragon, the three-headed dragon the Lakers will have to go to win their 18th championship this season. And it was looking scary. Last show, we had just seen KD and James Harden co-off for the first time, and it was unbelievable, you know. But somebody has come back into that three-headed dragon, and it's Kyrie Irving. And there's some alarming stuff going on, man. If you look at Kyrie Irving's numbers, 37, 38, and 28 over the last 3 games since his return, you would say, oh, man, he's balling, you know. But it's not about Kyrie right now. The fact that James Harden has to take a back seat to Kyrie Irving is blasphemous. Shout out my boy Stephen A. Smith. That is really crazy to me, because if I look over at my guy James Harden's numbers since the return of Kyrie, he's got 21, 19, and 12. He's taking like less than, you know, his normal. He hasn't taken over 14 shots since the return of Kyrie Irving, which is basically unheard of for James Harden. If we're talking about, you know, the guy that James Harden is, get into his spots and get into his buckets, he's been deferring a lot to Kyrie Irving. I know that Tyler just told me that he didn't take a shot in the first quarter, man. Like James Harden, and that's just like really cancerous for that team. I think it's really bringing them down. But it makes my heart happy because as a Laker fan, we are rolling, folks. 9-0 on the road. I feel great, man. We took a tough L to Golden State on Tuesday, but I think it was a needed L. We played like garbage, man. We thought that we were too good for them, but it's all right. It's all right. And the guy that I want to talk about today specifically for the Lakers is a guy that gets a lot of slander, man, and it's time for it to stop. This is a safe space for Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma has earned the respect of the league, and I'm going to tell you why, man. Kyle Kuzma is doing things for the Laker team that he has not done in the past at a high level, and it is really, really coming into the clutch where you don't really see stats show up. I mean, I guess you can watch the stats. Specifically, the stat I'm talking about is his rebound production. But you don't really think about it in like, oh, he's like, you know, you think of Kyle Kuzma when he first came into the league, it was about scoring. You thought he was going to be a really good third option to play with LeBron and AD. Didn't really pan out that way. And because of that, you know, he got a lot of hate. He got a lot of hate for his offensive game, his lack of development with his ball handling, poor shot selection, the Magic Johnson passes, where he just throws the ball out of bounds. I'm like, the more I'm talking, I feel like I'm slandering him, so I got to chill out. But let's just look at his rebounds, man. His rebounds are crazy right now. It's the best part of his game. He's been over double-digit rebounds this season 4 times, which is like unbelievable. Kyle Kuzma is a guy that's averaged, you know, about 4 rebounds a game his whole career. So for him to come off with a season high, he had 13. It was his career high in rebounds as well the other night. And those things are huge for the Lakers. Those things are huge because you're talking about a guy who's 6'9", who can guard pretty effectively now. I wouldn't say the 1 position, but the 2 through 4, he's doing a pretty solid job just defending that on the wing and in the post. You know, he's not a strong guy, but he's giving a lot of effort. And another thing that's really up for him this year is his career highs in blocks this year, man. It's unbelievable. He's a guy that you wouldn't think is really very good at defending the rim, but he's been able to do so at a high level. So Kyle Kuzma, man, if you're out there, if you're listening to this, bro, I apologize for last year because I slandered you more than like anybody I know. But it's time to stop. No more. This is it. This is an official Buck announcement. No more slandering Kyle Kuzma. It's over. And then, yeah, we got to stop, man. We just got to stop. We got to stop. But the last thing I want to talk about with the Lakers is just like Anthony Davis has had a very, very hard start to the NBA season for numerous reasons. He says that he can't find a rhythm in his free throw or his jump shooting. It's very evident on the floor. He's staying aggressive, but he's getting really flustered in double teams. He's seen a lot of doubles this year in the post. And he's starting his post way too high, man. He's getting that post at like the elbow or like extended, even like sometimes in the 3-point line. And it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if he continues to break out, like yesterday, I think was a huge game for him going back home to Chicago. He had 23 first half points, finished with 37, man, like just like murdering the Chicago Bulls last night. And if that AD can show up on a consistent level for the Los Angeles Lakers, I don't really see a stop in sight. And we saw what they did to the Milwaukee Bucks. Prayers up for Giannis because he's going through something right now. LeBron James has been showing up in Giannis's nightmares. You know, we need to tuck Giannis in with a nightlight and kiss him on the forehead goodnight because he is having night terrors about LeBron James. And so is the rest of the league. So from here to Lakerland, you know what it is. Nets, Lakers, trending upwards again, man. We love to see it. All right, my boys, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Justice. But before you head out, don't go just yet. I gotta play devil's advocate. I'm not picking up Kuzma on my team.
Oh,
I'm not picking up Kuzma on my. Hear me out. He's got a career low in minutes so far, which is like that's probably good for him. That's good coaching by the Lakers. Career low in minutes. He's hitting a career high in three-point percentage, but he's down in free throw percentage. He's down in rebounds. He's down in assists. He's up in blocks. I'll give him that. Down in steals. I mean, is he gonna make it right this year? Is he gonna fix his shot? Is he gonna turn it around from his last 4 years of his career? Is this year gonna be Kuz's year?
Listen. This year in the playoffs, I think that Kyle Kuzma will show the Laker Nation why he's there. He is down in minutes, and I think that is, like you said, like excellent coaching by Frank. He was playing too many last year in valuable times, and he was too bad of a defender. But I think his shot is falling, man. He's shooting it with a lot of confidence. And that's like one thing that I really like this year. Every time Kyle's shooting the ball, it's looking like, I'm like, all right, like that might go in. Well, last year when he was shooting the ball, I was like, dude, pass. Like, I need you not to do that ever, you know? It's the confidence that Kyle has this year. I think it could come up big. Will it be the breakout year that, you know, everybody, every year, Kyle Kuzma's breakout year, every year, people talk about it. Will it be that? I just don't think so. I still think we might have to move him in the offseason, but I hope he can stay and get another ring, man. He's a solid young player, man. He goes to a team like Detroit. I can see him averaging, 18, 19 a game, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's still young. Like, not saying his career is going to be shit the entire career, but right now he's struggling a little bit. And if he doesn't perform in the playoffs, Shaq is going to have his way with him because he was giving him all kinds of stuff last year.
It's not just Shaq; it's those Twitter fingers too, man. They're going to take it apart.
They don't stop.
Dude, not for Kyle, man. Not for Kyle.
All right, Jesse.
Yeah, but actually, also want to see one thing before Justice leaves, because I wanted to go with the first point when we talking about the Nets, just to kind of bring up and have someone on the discussion, like when James Harden tweeted out scary hours about the Nets when it was just him and KD, like everyone thought it was good. The scary hours now with Kyrie Irving back is them on the defensive end. Like, I am worried because even if those three figure out a way and the shots go up, like, they prove that they right now cannot guard anybody. Like, no. they like KD has to do most of the work there. Like, James Harden and Kyrie, liabilities. Like, they'll get blown by. And the issue to me with the Nets games is we're gonna talk about Collin Sexton a little bit later on the show, but like, it wasn't like they're running this nice offense and going through all these progressions, like they weren't setting up anything nice. in the end of that game, they were rolling the ball to Collin Sexton and making him basically play king of the court with the Nets. And that's Jeff Green included. KD took a shot. Like, all of them were just lining up. You couldn't stop this guy.
It's Collin Sexton. No disrespect.
No disrespect. It's
Collin Sexton. It's Collin Sexton.
It is Collin Sexton, but still, at some point, like, that's just not going to cut it. They just can't let one guy back-to-back games consistently roast you like that without even making it hard for him. I mean, they tried. I'll say they tried. They were there. He hit some tough shots, but most of that game was like towards the end of that game, there was no other option. He scored 20 consecutive points against them?
20 consecutive in OT and double OT, man.
You can't let that happen if you're going to beat the Lakers.
Listen, I totally agree with you, man. Defensively, I think the Brooklyn Nets had a problem before the Harden trade. I think they have a problem that's even worse after the Harden trade with Kyrie back. Like you said, they're getting blown by, man. And it's not even the blow-bys because you know what? Like, Kyrie Irving's getting blown by his whole career. He has an NBA championship. James Harden getting blown by his whole career. You know, he's got numerous trips to, pretty deep in the final or deep in the West, and like, so it's not the blow-bys. It's the rim protection that gets me, man. It's the lack of depth there. They don't have bigs. They have DeAndre Jordan. Give me a break, I think that trading Jared Allen was like, I mean, if there was another way that trade could happen where they were able to keep Jared Allen as a rim protector on that team, I think that if they ran that set and they played big with Jared Allen and DeAndre on the floor just to clog up the middle, I think it could work. Yeah. But it can't work without that, man. DeAndre Jordan, and we're talking about defenders. Joe Harris is not a good defender. No. So you got 4 guys out there that are just not good defenders. DeAndre Jordan, I watched him pick up like 4 fouls in 15 minutes the other day, And I'm like, this is your starting center. Like, this is not going to cut it. One thing to notice is that they did get that $5.7 million back from Spencer. So if, a buyout target, I thought maybe they would go with, Alex Len, but Carl's Wizards swooped in, signed the man. I thought that was a really good option for them. I think Alex Len, he defends the ball, the rim pretty well. Cheap guy. They paid one of the Wizards, paid him like $2 million, $1 million. It's nothing. I thought that should have been an easy no-brainer.
Yeah, and to relate this all back to fantasy, like some of the Nets' struggles come from James Harden turning the ball over. In his last 10 games, he's almost got 6 turnovers a game, which is 3rd. Russell Westbrook on Carl's Wizards is 1st. But yeah, James Harden's turning the ball over a lot. There's not enough ball to go around in Brooklyn. And DeAndre Jordan is the only true center on the Nets, and he's only playing 24 minutes a game since the Big 3 came. So I don't know what the Nets are thinking with their rotation. Joe Harris is probably going to maintain his spot in the starting lineup, and the dude can't defend for anything. So I guess they're trying to be the Golden State Warriors, and where they're going to try and outscore you, and they don't care if they beat you on defense.
And just one more thing on that, man. I don't know how I feel about Steve Nash. I'm going to say it. I just don't know if he can control that locker room, man. I don't know if the going gets tough there with Steve Nash. I think we've seen James Harden mad before. We've seen Kyrie angry before at their coaches. And I think Steve Nash, I'm a Hall of Fame guy, I got some hate because, ruined my Lakers season that year, but that's all right. But I think he'll fold like a table, man. I think he'll fold like a lawn chair when the going gets tough. And I think he'll let them do whatever they want, man. And that's just not going to work. I don't think they're going to win the East anymore.
Man, that's some strong words. I still got the Celtics or the Heat coming out of the East. I'm not even worried about the Nets, but that's some strong words. We might have to @ Steve Nash with that one. We're going to have to clip that and @ Steve Nash.
Send that to Canada. Send that one to Canada. Send it to Canada and tell them we want certified lover boy too. We want it all.
All right, bro. Justice, you got anything you want to say to people before you head out?
As always, Laker Nation, the best team in the NBA. If Anthony Davis comes back, spooky season. Shout out THT again to go back to Chicago yesterday. 10 points, always a good shout out for THT. Always a great shout out. Alex Caruso shooting number 1% for 3-point percentage in the NBA this year. DOB, best out, baby. You already know what it is. DOB gang, more life.
Peace out, bro. Peace out.
All right. Hey, we spent a little bit of time on that one. We might have to start rushing through these stats. If you like that kind of talk in the fantasy basketball videos, let us know in the comments down below, where we kind of stray a little more from the fantasy points side of it and kind of start talking a little more basketball. But we're still going to deliver you all that fantasy basketball news no matter what. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Let's get right into the shout outs. I'm going to go first. I'm excited about this. This guy's on my team. We've been talking about him all year long. Bam Adebayo, 41-point career high performance. Dude balled out, coming back off that COVID protocol last week, and now he's hooping, and then the Heat have finally realized. They finally realized, run the ball through Bam. Get the ball to Bam. He's your best player. Shout out to Bam. We're going to roll the clip right now.
4. So the Nets up by 16, and Bam hits another 3. Comes at the end of, that's not a 3. He was inside the arc. My bad. His good. Bam having quite enough.
Bam Adebayo went off. That is a guy that I'm super happy for, and he's going to continue to excel in that Heat program. Moving on to the next shout out that we got to give. We just talked about it. Collin Sexton, back-to-back dubs against Brooklyn, single-handedly carrying that team. The first game in double OT, he had 42, 5, 5, 1, and 2. And then the next game, he came back 25, 2, and 9. Collin Sexton was the heart and soul of that team. No Darius Garland, no Kevin Love, just Collin Sexton hooping. Hey, didn't he play a little 3-on-5 or something in college?
Back in Alabama, yeah, probably one of the most legendary games from an individual I think I've ever seen in college basketball. Honestly, if you have some of that clip, we should roll that a little bit.
Roll the Collin Sexton 3-on-5 clip, bro.
Yeah.
Rebound! Sexton the rebound, here he comes. Sexton himself, got it! Sexton, down 6, 3-on-5, dishes off, it's a dunk!
So, but just to get into Collin Sexton, as I said earlier with Justice, they weren't really running a whole lot on offense. They were giving him the ball, and he gave them 20 straight to end the game, all by himself. But I love team basketball. We all love it, but that's just special when there's just nothing anyone can do to stop one guy. So big shout out to Collin Sexton this week.
Yeah, big shout out to Collin Sexton. Playing with the Cavs is basically as close to playing 3-on-5 in the NBA as you're gonna get. But to continue our shout outs, we got a callback from last week. We told you Jamal Murray, don't worry about him, sweetheart. Don't worry about him. And he comes back and he's playing better than ever. He's got increases in every single stat since last episode. Dude is blowing it up in Denver. Him and Joker, man, what a duo. They need a third option to kind of cap it. But I think the Joker himself is right now Joel Embiid's main opponent in the MVP race.
Okay. I just want to say, before I say what I have to say, where are you ranking him right now, 1 or 2 with Joel Embiid?
I'd put him at 1.
Put him at 1. All right, this is where we're going to split off today, because Joel Embiid is the best center in the NBA right now. Just watch the games. Everyone loves. Yes, I know we love Jokic. We love the passes, and it's nice and pretty. But Embiid is playing at a similar rate on offense, and then is also a much better defender than Jokic is. It's not even close how much better of a defender he is, and they're putting around the same numbers. That's got to be an easy one. I had Embiid over Jokic last year when people were still trying to give Jokic that number 1 center in the league. I'm a big Embiid guy, and he has been balling out as of late. This year as a whole, he's averaging 27, 11, and 2. He is taking that team and lifting them to new heights. And a lot of people were waiting on to see how, him and Ben Simmons would work out. turning out. They're just letting Ben Simmons just be the defensive stopper and still be his guy. And they found out how this offense really runs through, and it's Joel Embiid, and they're clicking right now, and I love to see it. Specifically, like Joel Embiid this past week had 3 straight games of 30 and 10, 30 points and 10 rebounds. He's only the third Sixer in history to ever do that, and the other 2 are Charles Barkley and Wilt Chamberlain. So that's legendary company right there. That's MVP company we're talking about right there. And he's had 51, 57, and 64 fantasy points within his last 3 games. And as of right now, he's my MVP. I'll lock it in.
All right. No disrespect to Joel Embiid, because I do have him at my 2 spot right now in the MVP race. But the Joker just came off a 29 and 22 performance. 29, 22, and 6. The one before that, 31 and 10. The one before that, 27 and 12. The dude is hooping right now. And I got Joker as my number 1, but we're straying away from our shout out, which is Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, shout out you. Thanks for hooping for the Nuggets. You're just proving our point right. And the next guy we got to shout out, another callback, man, a waiver wire pickup, making it into the shout outs. OG Anunoby coming back, averaging 37 fantasy points per game since the last episode. Before the last episode when we shouted him out, 29.5. He's got to be watching, right? He's got to be listening to us.
He knows.
He's showing out for the people that love fantasy basketball this week. And for that, we thank you, OG Anunoby. He just actually had a huge game right before we started recording this. We're recording this on Sunday. He just got done having a huge game against the Pacers. I mean, played incredibly well. I think he had 5 steals all in the first quarter or something like that. It's absolutely insane. So shout out STL, OG Anunoby. Shout out you. Carl, let's hear them shout outs.
All right. I mean, my main Embiid was my number 1 this week for my shout outs. And I just kind of have just some guys I'm just kind of questioning just to see how they're doing this week. Not really quite a shout out, but it's Anthony Edwards. So, I've just, on the show, I've been really critical of a lot of the rookies that we've seen so far. I always probably have about 1 a week. And Anthony Edwards is kind of proving some things that I saw pre-draft, where I felt it would take him some time to get his jump shot together. I am kind of confused with just how complacent he is at getting to the rim at his size, at his position. He is one of the biggest, most athletic guards in the league, settles for a lot of shots, shoots 34.7% from the field, 27.2 from 3. And the only issue is that when he gets hot, he gets hot. And you like to see it, but it's just the shots he takes, are just not, I don't know. There's not really great shots, and there's a lot of settling, and he's still got some work to do. But I, again, just love his upside so much that I would just have him watch listed at this point. Just because all of his production is scoring, and I keep having this belief that he's going to figure it out, and it's looking like the way it is so far that it may not be this year. So that's number 1 here. And then I have an actual kind of shout out is to the one net that's been holding down the fort for a couple of years, Joe Harris, with all this roster change. Joe Harris has been coming in as a sniper. I remember watching him when he won the 3-point competition a couple years ago, and just shooting lights out still. Shooting 50% from the field, 49.2% from 3. I want to shout out Joe Harris real quick because so much has changed. And yes, we talked about him being a suspect defender. Well, we already did that. We're appreciating Joe Harris right now. And it's Joe Harris still being a lights out shooter. It's a big part of this Nets team, just continuing just to do the one thing that he does better than almost everybody on the planet. And just that's it. It's my shout out to Joe Harris.
Yeah, Joe Harris is one of the guys I was looking at as well, and he is only owned in 64% of leagues. So if you're looking for a guy that needs guard and forward eligibility, there's not a lot of guys with that eligibility this year. So Joe Harris is a good option, and he's got 4 games coming up with Brooklyn. So he could be a guy that you could look to stream if he's available. He's owned in quite a bit of leagues, so maybe not. I got some questions about some people. One, LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge is having statistically one of the worst years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
He has the lowest net rating of his career. While he is in the positives for defensive rating, he has his by far the worst offensive rating, and which has resulted in his career worst net rating. He's traded all of his rebounds for three-pointers. He's not rebounding nearly as much, and he's shooting way more threes, and he's not being efficient at it. And he's so hit or miss. Like one night, he will completely stuff the stat sheet, and then the very next night, he will literally go for 2, 2, and 2. And I just don't know what to expect of LaMarcus Aldridge. He's owned in quite a bit of leagues. Should I be looking for LaMarcus Aldridge to step it up on the Spurs, or is he just a guy that get rid of him and start streaming waiver pickups for him?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm thinking you try to look for waiver pickups at this point. It depends on where your team is. If you can handle that type of inconsistency and you can kind of gamble on him if your team's strong, I'd say keep it. But if not, look for another option.
Yeah, and it also depends on how many teams are in your league. So an 8-team league, drop him outright. Drop LaMarcus Aldridge outright in an 8-team league. In a 10-team league, that's where it gets a little sticky. Do you want to drop him? Do you want to trade him for somebody that's doing kind of well, but you don't expect to maintain that kind of output, fantasy output? I'm thinking in a 10-team league like our own, I'm getting rid of him for somebody like I don't even know, because he's got such a record behind him that he can be very, very good, but he's just not playing well at all. Whereas somebody like Taurean Prince, who's now on the Cavs, is shooting out of his mind, definitely can't maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
But is he a better option than LaMarcus Aldridge? That I don't know. 12-team league, probably keep him.
Yeah.
10-team league, that's where it's kind of you're playing your risk-reward factors here. I personally, I'm getting rid of him. I have low tolerance for that kind of stuff, and I'd rather take my chance on a guy that's underperforming right now and looks to return to the median. And I have a guy in mind that is available in our league right now, but I'd like to hear what you would have to say about that.
Ooh. Just with LaMarcus Aldridge, just what you should do with him?
Yeah, you get in your league right now. Would you keep him? Would you trade him? Or would you drop him? And if you would trade him, who would you trade him for?
Right now, I would keep him. This is my opinion. I'm someone who generally feels like, like that's someone I can at least keep around because I know those games will come. And I know for a fact that at least the way my teams are set up, he wouldn't be, that high up on the pecking order of guys that I'm really, expecting a lot of production out of. So I think I'd wait a little bit longer and give it at least another week or two of data and to see how that, how that trend really shows out before making a move. Yeah, and that's really where I am with him.
Yeah, I'm just going to look up how many leagues he's owned in right now. He's owned in 85% of leagues. I'm dropping him or I'm trading for a guy with upside. I'm getting rid of him. Carl's keeping him for a little bit longer, testing him out. But the guy I would look to maybe trade him for brings me into my next point, Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is a very, very good buy low candidate at the moment. As of now, this season, it's his worst assist per 40 minutes year of his career. But it's his highest usage rating of his career. I believe he will return to the median and, in fact, excel and past his median because of the weapons that he now has around him with Zion, Brandon Ingram, and a seasoned veteran like Steven Adams, who can go up, grab boards, and get outlet passes. And I think that team has a very good capability to run the fast break, but they aren't doing it at the moment. And if they are, it's Lonzo Ball is not a part of it. So I'm buying Lonzo low. He's having his lowest 3-point percentage year of his career, but he's also taking the most threes of his career, that's kind of goes hand in hand. But eventually, I believe he'll find his stroke. This coming week will be a very good testament to what I'm saying. I believe he's about to have a very, very, very good week. So if you're looking to buy Lonzo low, now is the time, because after this week, Lonzo Ball will have had 4 25-point fantasy games, if not more. I'm calling it right now. I'm putting my name on the line. Carl, how do you feel about it?
Might be a little bold for 4. I can see how it can happen. I'm really expecting him to, give us a lot more than he has. And I think he's capable of doing it. Also, Lonzo's a guy. If you're watching this, please stop believing the internet for Lonzo Ball. He's somewhere in between the highest and the lowest things you've ever heard about. And so, just what we're doing right here is we're giving you a fair shot at what Lonzo actually is. And Tyler is 100% right where he should trend upward in the right direction, but I just don't know if 4 in 1 week is what I'm hitting for 25 again.
Well, let me tell you his schedule. Right. He plays the Spurs, and then he has an off day. And then he plays the Wizards, and then he has an off day. And then he plays Milwaukee, and then he plays Houston. And those teams, the Wizards especially, allow a majority of their points to point guards.
Yep.
Especially with Westbrook out. Who else? The Spurs allow a majority of their points to point guards. The Bucks do not allow a majority of their points to point guards, but they do allow a lot of fantasy points to the opposing players. And then they play Houston, which actually now I'm a little worried about because John Wall has been cleared to return to play. So I'm a little worried about the statement I just made, but I'm picking Lonzo up if he became available to me in our league.
I would picking him up and give him a shot. But also on the flip side of that, keep in mind he's also playing a bunch of guys that can get him in foul trouble pretty easily throughout this entire week. Maybe with the exception of Milwaukee. I'd say Milwaukee probably not, but defensively they'll be more of a challenge. Wizards definitely not. If there's no rust, there's no worry for him there. But I'm saying just in the Spurs game and Houston, if John Wall plays, I think one of those two are the games where I think he would drop under 25.
Okay. I'm going to go even further than my original claim, and I'm going to say the exact stats that I think he's going to perform against the Wizards. I think he's going to have upwards of 12 assists against the Wizards because there's nobody to defend the rim. And I believe he'll have at least 3 steals against the Wizards. You think it could happen?
The steals I'd watch out for if Russ isn't playing. Honestly. I think they might control the ball a bit better. They'll miss a bunch, though. I think steals actually, I think Neto is probably a little bit better, making sure that the ball doesn't get turned over as much. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I still think he's going to ball out against the Wizards. Because they don't play defense and they don't have players right now. So
yeah, I'm imagining at least 5 lobs to Zion that game.
Yeah, at least 5. It'll be all over Bleacher Report. We'll see it.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any other guys you want to talk about before we get into everybody's favorite part of the show?
Let's get into it. I'm done with that part. Let's go.
Let's get into it, boy. Fringe guys. God. Oh, if you guys haven't noticed, there's a change of scenery behind me. I moved into my new place. We got nothing set up. In fact, we don't have any chairs. I'm sitting on a suitcase right now with my phone propped up against my TV. And behind me, you can see a little bit, I have an inflatable couch while ours is being delivered. But anyways, cool apartment. I was pretty excited. Thought I'd share with you guys. But Fringe guys, everybody's favorite part. Carl, I'll let you go first because I'm going to finish so strong.
All right, pause. Well, I'm going to go with I'm gonna go with a quick back-to-back here, just to keep the time nice and concise here. I'll go with Monte Morris on the Denver Nuggets, playing 26.5 minutes a game, owned at 20.2% of leagues, averaging about 11.8, 2.4, 3.1, and combined blocks and steals 1.1. The big thing was, like when MPJ came back off the COVID protocol, like would his minutes change or anything? And his role is not changing. He's going to be used in a lot of those rotations, when they have to spell Jamal Murray, the guy we shouted out earlier. He's going to have valuable time for this team. It's a guy I would watch list right now. And on, I'd say matchups that are weak against guarding guards, be a nice plug and play. And then this is just my next guy is a strict watch list. And also watch list / I'd say, like, if you really just need a replacement one day and you just need a guy who's going to play, this isn't for necessarily upcoming week. This is a season-wide watch, I'd say. Ricky Rubio. So Ricky Rubio, nothing really jumps out for you statistically off the bat. Only averaging about 6 points, 3.2 rebounds, but 5.5 assists is pretty solid for the amount of time that he plays. And when he does shoot, he doesn't shoot too much, and they're usually very high percentage shots. So he's going to have a big role. He still has a big role in the Timberwolves, who are dumpster fire right now. We got to hopefully, I have a couple of Timberwolves fans who are waiting for this. And yes, I'm a Wizards fan. I know a dumpster fire when I see one. Wolves are a dumpster fire right now. But, in matchups, when I think that there's, less experienced point guards, he'll be able to, get in passing lanes, get steals, and get assists. And so for those days where you're just scrambling, looking for a guy to pick up, Ricky Rubio is a name you should always have watch listed and consider if you really need that point guard, like just for that one day plug in. That's the type of guy you need, because that, the floor is usually pretty good if he's playing. Like, he'll give you something. It may not be too much, but if you just need someone who's going to, go out there and produce a little bit, Ricky Rubio's the guy out there. And those are my two fringe guys, and hopefully got through it in record time.
That was pretty quick. All right, I'll try and go quick too. Starting off with Eric Gordon. He only plays 3 games this week, so not usually a favorable stream guy, but he plays against the Wizards and the Pelicans, who give a majority of their points up to shooting guards. I forgot to mention Eric Gordon just came off of a really good shooting performance. He had 33 points, I believe, the last game he played. But yeah, he plays the Wizards and the Pelicans, who give a majority of their points up to shooting guards. And he plays the Trailblazers, who are now without CJ McCollum, injury report. He's got a small fracture in his right foot. So he's only owned in 34.5% of leagues. If Eric Gordon's available, look to pick him up. He only plays 3 games, but he's going to get more in those 3 games than other waiver stream pickups are going to give you in 4 games. But not more than these 2 guys that I'm about to tell you about. Jeremy Lamb, welcome back to the NBA, my guy. He's returning to a buzzing Pacers team, even though they just lost in that game I was just watching. Brogdon had a pretty awful game. Sabonis shot 1 for 10. It was kind of wild. But Jeremy Lamb, he is going to eventually, I believe, be a starter on that Pacers team above Justin Holiday. So that's a guy I'm picking up. He plays 4 games this week. I believe Jeremy Lamb has the potential to be a full-time roster on a lot of people's teams, especially if you're struggling 12-team league. Definitely, Jeremy Lamb is a full-time roster spot on a 12-team league. 10-team league, that's the guy who could be a full-time roster spot. Maybe stream him. 8-team league, don't worry about Jeremy Lamb. All right. And then lastly, Naz Reid, who is almost dropped the phone there. Naz Reid, who is the replacement starter for Karl Anthony Towns while he is out with COVID, which is not only a medical issue for him, but a personal issue with him. He went through a lot in the last year. So hopefully he returns healthy. But Naz Reid has been very efficient in his starts with the Timberwolves. He is averaging 14 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, almost a steal a game, and 2.3 blocks per game. Just in how many minutes per game? He's doing that in just 27.3 minutes per game. So 2.3 blocks per game in the starts that he's had in just 27 minutes is pretty nuts. That's a really good stat line for a replacement starter, especially on the struggling Timberwolves. Which reminds me, we won't have to get back into this, but Anthony Edwards, this is his time. He should be shining. There's several people out for the Timberwolves. He should be taking his shots. Regardless, Naz Reid is a great streaming option. Definitely pick him up in 12-team leagues. If he fits your schedule and the days that you need to fill a roster spot. All right, so those are guys that you should be picking up. The 5 French guys we got: Eric Gordon, Jeremy Lamb, Naz Reid, Monte Morris, and Ricky Rubio. Those are guys you should be picking up, and these teams have people that you should be dropping to replace those guys with. So the teams that you're going to want to look to drop players from are the Grizzlies. They only played 2 games this week because they had it postponed. Their game got postponed on Monday, so today when you guys are watching this. And then the other teams that you're going to want to drop are Kings players, Knicks players, and Bulls players. They have either 3-game schedules or they have a 4-game schedule, and they're playing really tough opponents. So if you're looking to switch out some players for this week, there you have it. You got your 5 French guys. You got 4 teams that you should be dropping players from. Before we get into closing statements, injury report, Carl, off the top of your head, who you got?
Peyton Pritchard. So he had a knee, it ended up being a knee sprain for him. So he is out right now, and I think it's for at least a week or so. They're trying to see how it is, but it looked like he had what was maybe a season-threatening knee injury when he got hurt, and so it's a sigh of relief to see that he's going to be back on the floor eventually and resuming basketball activities within a couple weeks. So just a guy that is slowly growing into a nice part of the Celtics rotation. Glad to see that his season's not done. That's one guy off the top of my head. Again, I'm gonna say this every single week: COVID. Keep track of the teams that are getting just destroyed by COVID right now. As we mentioned, Memphis had the game postponed today, and we still have to see if there's more tests that come out. The Wizards also are a team that recently just been hit so much by COVID. There's a lot going on with that, and it's just every week it seems like there's another team that's having a bunch of positive tests and games postponed. So right now, if you have matchups that include the Wizards or the Grizzlies, I would just always make sure you have those alerts ready. Those Woj bombs whenever it comes to COVID, because that's a matchup, and that's a matchup killer for fantasy lineups. Because it happened to me a couple times this week. I lost all my Kings players because they played the Grizzlies at one point, and so all of a sudden all that production's gone. So COVID is just as much as something you need to keep your eye on, as along with all the injuries that pop up.
Yep. Another notable guy is Al Horford. He's out with personal reasons for the birth of his child. Markelle Fultz, just another knee injury for him. You hate to see it. Bogdanovich is still out. And then the Grizzlies players are out for at least another game with COVID protocols. So, yeah, just make sure you're keeping up to date with your Woj bombs. But that's pretty much it for the injury report. We're going to get into closing statements here. Two videos ago, we almost hit triple digits. Last week, we mentioned we almost hit triple digits. And by the time we've recorded this, it finally hit triple digits. And we got up to 102. So shout out to whoever went back and watched those episodes. That's big time. We're up to 31 subscribers. Shout out to all you guys that keep watching the videos. Shout out to you guys that are still listening right now. You guys are helping us with the algorithm so much. You guys have no idea. We're actually going to do a little giveaway. I haven't even told Carl about this, but if we get 20 likes on this video, we'll get out a $20 gift card. We want to buy you dinner. But the way you enter it is we have to reach 20 likes. You have to like the video. You have to comment who your favorite fantasy player is at the moment. And then you have to be subbed. So there's 4 stipulations, actually. 4 stipulations. 20 likes on the video. You have to have liked it. You have to have commented. And you have to be subbed in order for us to give you a $20 gift card. When that happens, I'm not even going to say if, because I'm guaranteeing, I'm speaking it into existence, it's going to happen. We will contact you guys, whether it be your Twitter handle or whatever. We will get into contact with you, and we will figure out how to get you this $20 Visa gift card for you to spend on however you feel like. Carl, talk to your people.
Closing statements.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody, for tuning to the show this week. I guess I only have one thing. You mentioned that there is a matchup coming up between the Houston Rockets and the Washington Wizards, and that means we are at risk of a John Wall revenge game if there's no Russell Westbrook. Just keep that in mind. If you really want to watch something fun, find the stream, because if John Wall's playing against the Wizards, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it could get pretty ugly. So, yeah, that's something to look out for. Once again, thanks for watching, everybody. This has been, 5th episode of Fantasy Basketball this week? Dang, we're getting up there. Make sure you guys like, comment, and sub to enter yourselves into that $20 giveaway. Peace out, guys.